I had two options. One was to remain silent and wait to be killed. And the second one was to speak up and then be killed. I chose the second one. I chose to speak up. Malala Yousafzai said in her passionate and persuasive speech after receiving the Nobel Prize for Peace in the year 2014. In today's session, we are going to look at this powerful speech delivered at the Oslo City Hall in Norway in the year 2014. Malala Yousafzai was born in Pakistan in the year 1997. As the daughter of an outspoken activist and educator, she was an excellent student. Everything was good and normal till the Taliban invaded their place, Swat Valley, in the year 2007. The place that was once a vacation destination changed after Taliban took over. They banned many things like owning a television and listening and playing music, etc. They enforced harsh punishments for those who defied their orders. They decided that girls need not go to schools. Malala and her parents had to flee from Swat Valley, but they returned when tensions and violence eased. In 2008, she delivered her first public speech in Peshawar to protest the school closings, and from 2009 she started blogging for the BBC under the name Gul Makai. Her first public speech was in the year 2008, and she was associated with BBC as a blogger from the year 2009. She spoke publicly on behalf of the girls and their right to learn, and this made her a target. In 2012, Taliban attempted to assassinate Malala on the bus en route home from school. She was shot on the head and woke up 10 days later in a hospital in Birmingham in the United Kingdom. She was shot in the year 2012. She was not among the ones who were ready to give up. On July 12, 2013, she was back on her 16th birthday addressing the audience at the United Nations. She addressed the UN in the year 2013. She also published her memoir in the same year 2013, and her memoir is entitled I Am Malala, the girl who stood up for education and was shot by the Taliban. Her memoir She was awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace in the year 2014. Malala made history when she was awarded the Nobel Prize. She was the first Pakistani to receive the Nobel Prize for Peace, and also she was the youngest person to receive the Nobel Prize. I tell my story not because it is unique, but because it is not. It is a story of many girls. I tell my story not because it is unique, but because it is not. It is a story of many girls. It's a statement that Malala makes in her Nobel Peace Prize speech in 2014. And this statement takes us to the core of the message that she is trying to deliver. She is opening before us her life, and we can see what she had to go through to get access to education in her country, in her hometown. She is making us understand that she is not the only girl who was or who is denied the right to education. She is also making us realize that though the reasons could be different, this is a reality that calls for action, that this denial of the right to education is a reality that calls for action. She has brought with her girls from different parts of the world, and she is mentioning instances from that happens in different parts of the world, and says that we could have or we could find so many reasons for this denial of education. But she says that there is no point in blaming the causes anymore, but we need to act. This is a time to act, and her speech is a call for action. So at the core of her speech is the importance of education. If we need to sum up the argument that she is proposing, we can say that she is communicating, she is talking to us about the importance of education and how education should be imparted to everyone as a right, irrespective of their gender, class or place. She commences her speech by addressing the audience and by expressing gratitude to everyone for the continued support and love that she received. She thanks her parents for their unconditional love. She thanks her father for not clipping her wings and for letting her fly. She thanks her mother for inspiring her to be patient and for inspiring her to always speak the truth. She places herself as a representative of all the children who were denied education, who were denied peace, and who were rendered voiceless. She dedicates her award to all these people. I quote, "This award is not just for me. It is for those forgotten children who want an education. This is for those frightened children who want peace. It is for those voiceless children who want change. I am here to stand up for their rights, to raise their voice. It is not time to pity them. It is time to take action so it becomes the last time that we see a child deprived of education." So she says that she is representing these group of people who are denied education, who are denied peace, and who are rendered voiceless. She is there to stand up for their rights. She says that it is long enough that we all know all these problems exist in our society. It is time that we act to stop them. It is time that we act to make education available, to make a peaceful ambience for children to grow up. It is time that we let people to speak for themselves. We give voice to the voiceless. "Let this be the last time" is a phrase that she keeps repeating in her speech. From the beginning till the end, we get to listen to this so many times. This phrase is an assertion that we need to act to stop all these things, to stop the denial of education, to stop the wars, and to stop the violence that prevents human beings or people from accessing education. And from denying education, it is preventing the progress of a human being. So this phrase that she repeats from the beginning till the end, "Let this be the last time," through this phrase she is trying to assert the emergency, the need to stop this. She identifies the different ways in which people describe her. Some people describe her as a girl shot by Taliban. Some people identify her as a girl who fought for her rights. And some people now might identify her as a Nobel laureate. And she also says that her brothers identify her as a bossy sister. But even though people identify her in all these different ways, she says that she sees herself as a committed and stubborn person. She sees herself as a committed and stubborn person who demands, she calls herself committed and stubborn because she wants quality education for every child. She wants quality education for all children. She wants equal rights for women. She also wants peace in every corner of the world. So she says that though the world identifies her in different roles, she would like to identify herself as a committed and stubborn person who wants quality education for all the children, which she strongly believes is the cornerstone towards the progress of humankind. She demands equal rights for women. She says that, or she strongly believes that a person's sex should not be something that prevents them from getting access to education or equal right. She also calls for peace in every corner of the world because she believes these are the different reasons that prevents the progress of humankind. She then takes us back to her life in Pakistan, to her life in Swat Valley, to convince us of her credibility to represent these groups. She tells us about her life in Swat Valley, about the happy days as a child when she and her friends learned and read together. We get to see a group of people who had the quest for knowledge, the quest for education in them. We get to see a group of children who were mature enough to realize that their progress, their success was in the classrooms. Their success was in the knowledge that they could acquire, was in the education that they could get. Her narration about these children with big dreams in their eyes is persuading enough for the listeners to be convinced that this is a cause worth fighting for. We are sad when she narrates to us how Swat suddenly changed into a place of terrorism and how schools were destroyed. And we are sad to see how those beautiful big dreams in the eyes of the children suddenly turned into nightmares. So we are convinced that this is a cause that is worth fighting for. And when her life in Swat changed overnight, she had two options. One was to remain silent and the other was to speak up. And as we said before, she chose the second option and she decided to speak up. She had to pay for it. She was attempted to be killed by the Taliban, yet we get to see her standing victorious, conquering it all. So we are convinced that her life is her message. Her life itself is good enough to inspire others to speak up, to fight for this cause, to fight for education. Her life is her message. Though I appear as one girl, one person who is 5 foot 2 inches tall, I am not a lone voice, I am many. She says this, that she is not a lone voice, she is many. When she says that she is representing so many people, we are also sure that her life is going to inspire so many people to fight like her. She also mentions the names of her friends who are there with her attending the ceremony. I am Malala, but I am also Shazia. I am Kainat Sumru. I am Mason, I am Amina. I am those 66 million girls who are deprived of education. And today, I am not raising my voice. It is the voice of 66 million girls. She claims to be the voice of 66 million girls fighting for their education, who have the courage to speak up for their rights, who demands equality, who demands education, who demands equality and who demands peace, who consider all these as their basic rights. She asserts her idea that when we are fortunate to witness, to see rapid progress and development in half of the world, the other half is still suffering from war, poverty and injustice. All these are barriers that prevent children from getting their education. She then mentions about the social taboos that are prevalent in different parts of the world that obstructs the education and progress of women. She specifically talks about one of her friends who was bold and confident, a girl who dreamed of becoming a doctor. But unfortunately, she was forced to get married at the age of 12, and she was the mother of a baby boy at the age of 14 when she herself was a child. And Malala here dedicates her Nobel Peace Prize money to the Malala Fund, and her dedication is to help girls get quality education and to help them raise their voices. She says, "This is where I will begin, but it is not where I will stop. I will continue this fight until I see every child in school." She says that this is just a beginning, this is not the end, and she will continue this fight until she see every girl in school, until every girl gets the opportunity for education, to be educated, and until every girl has the confidence to stand for herself and to raise her voice, to articulate her ideas. Malala knows that the cause she is advocating for has gotten the awareness it needs, and now it is the time for action. She says that the world leaders are aware of the need of education. They are providing their children with the best education, but yet the common people are not receiving the benefits. So she calls for actions. She says that it is the time for action. We have already taken many steps. Now it is the time to take a leap. We have been taking small steps in the field of education, and she says that now it is time to take a leap. She also mentions about the Millennium Development Goals and the Sustainable Development Goals, according to which every human being has to be given primary education. But she says that this is not enough. We cannot stop with primary education, but every human being should be given secondary and higher education so that they could make progress. The world can no longer accept that basic education is enough. Why do leaders accept that for children in developing countries, only basic literacy is sufficient when their own children do homework in algebra, mathematics, science and physics? She says that leaders must seize this opportunity to guarantee a free, quality, primary and secondary education for every child. She says that it is not awareness that we need at this point. It is already there. We are all aware of the need of education. The leaders are aware, the system is aware, everyone is aware. But what we need is action right now. She calls the leaders to act at this point and to make education available, primary, secondary and higher education available for every citizen, for every child. She is aware of the criticisms or the answers that she might receive for this demand. She is aware that some people might say that her argument is impractical, or that getting education for every child is very expensive, it is too hard and all. But she is not willing to take any of these explanations or excuses. She says that the world of adults could probably understand this. When she is asserting the dire need for education for every child, she says that children like her cannot understand why this need is impractical. Why is it called as impractical? She is asking certain piercing questions. Why is that countries we call strong are so powerful in creating wars but are so weak in bringing peace? Why is it that giving guns is so easy but giving books is so hard? Why is it that making tanks is so easy but building schools is so hard? We do not really have, or the people who want to criticize will not really have any answers to her piercing questions. When we can spend money on wars, when we can spend money on tanks, when we can spend money on guns and other arms, why cannot we spend money on education that promises progress of humankind? According to her, it is just that we are prioritizing fighting with each other than living in peace with each other. If we want to live in peace with each other, if we want a world of justice, a world where everybody enjoys equal privileges, we should be giving preference to education rather than spending money on arms and tanks and wars. We are living in the modern age and we believe that nothing is impossible. It is the resilience that has always helped us to move forward. We reached the moon 45 years ago and maybe we'll land soon in Mars. And when we can achieve all these things, we should be able to give every child quality education. And she says that this is not just the responsibility of the politicians or the leaders. We should contribute, we all need to contribute, me, you and all, we should contribute, and she says that it is our duty to contribute. We must work at this point and we should not wait. There is a need to work now, to contribute now, and her speech is a call for action. Her speech ends with a series of "let this be the last time" phrase which asserts the dire need of action. Let us become the first generation that decides to be the last, that sees empty classrooms, lost childhoods and wasted potentials. Let this be the last time that a girl or a boy spends their childhood in a factory. Let this be the last time that a girl is forced into early child marriage. Let this be the last time that a child loses life in war. Let this be the last time that we see a child out of school. Let this end with us. Let's begin this ending together, today, right here, right now. Let's begin this ending now.